tend to agree. He called it nothing more than a plagiarism machine, because this is the way AI works. If you would, although Dr. Saab here explained it in a very easy way for people to understand, but I'm going to give you Chomsky's interpretation of what AI really is. So these are all OpenAI's ChatGPT, Google's Bard, and Microsoft's Sydney. These are the three big AI machines. They are marvels of machine learning. And this is a branch of science of computer programming that is very important. You need it for banking, you need it for all sorts of economic statistics, so on and so forth. So what these machines do is that you feed them huge amounts of data, thousands. So all these novels, there was like 183,000 books that went into training this AI, how to write a novel. And so they take these huge amounts of data, they search for patterns in the data, and they become better and better at generating what would be, as Dr. Saab described, a statistically probable output. So if there are lots of people like him, computer scientists, and they type two words, what is the next word that he's likely to type? What is the predictable outcome? And it will give that. You know, you're saying 5 minutes, but we started 5 minutes late, so you're going to have to give us an extra 5 minutes here. Yeah, so what happens is that you are fooled into thinking that the machine is very sophisticated. Actually, it's not. It's not. And what Professor Chomsky says is that don't be so quick to think that the machine is smarter than the human mind. It's not. The human mind, unlike ChatGPT, gorging on hundreds of terabytes of data and extrapolating the most likely conversational response or the most probable answer to a question, on the contrary, the human mind is a surprisingly efficient and even elegant system that operates with small amounts of information. It doesn't seek to infer correlation over huge amounts of data, but to create explanations for why something happened, even when you only have a small amount of data. And the machine learning its strengths are description and prediction, but it can't posit any mechanisms or laws. It's also incapable of moral thinking. A machine cannot think morally, a human can. So for these reasons, machine learning systems, never mind them as an entity themselves, but the results that they turn out, their predictions, are always going to be, according to Chomsky, superficial and dubious.
Great insight on the reality of artificial intelligence. One last question for Dr. Irfan Haider, that being a head of a medical university where human...
It's not a medical university, it's a general university. हमारे पास 25 disciplines हैं.
All right, but talking about just a medical line, I would like to ask you, in medical field there is a lot of need for human touch, for human essential. So how as a head you tackle with this AI technology in your university, and how do you counter this ongoing technology in this field?
देखिए, इस वक्त बहुत ज़्यादा जो काम हो रहा है वो डायग्नोस्टिक्स पे हो रहा है. यानी कि आप पिक्चर्स, एक्सरेज हैं या ब्रेन इमेजेस हैं, अगर आपने 2000 ब्रेन इमेजेस ऑफ पर्टिकुलर डिजीज़ की पिक्चर्स हैं, तो AI is good in identifying the commonality of those brain pictures leading to a particular disease. So it's an aid, just like X-ray was an aid. तो ये ज़रा ज़्यादा sophisticated aid है, but it's just an aid. Actually, the doctors would still have to make predictions. So, अच्छा, मैं थोड़ा सा चॉम्स्की की बड़ी मशहूर डिबेट है, चॉम्स्की और गूगल का चीफ टेक्नोलॉजी ऑफिसर पीटर नॉर्विक की. तो उसका मैं एक एक्सर्प्ट बताता हूँ, जस्ट टू अंडरस्टैंड हाउ टू एक्सप्लेन ये जो चीज़ आपने पढ़ी है इसको आसान लफ्ज़ों में. मिसाल के तौर पर ये प्लैनेटरी मोशन है, हमारे पास डेटा मौजूद है कि चांद जो है किस वक्त, किस टाइम पे, किस एंगल के ऊपर, कितने फासले पे, ज़मीन कितने फासले पे है. हमारे पास 5, 10 साल, 20 साल का डेटा मौजूद है जो प्रिसाइज बताता है कि कौन सा کون سا جو پلانٹ ہے وہ کس وقت کس ٹائم پہ کس جگہ ہوگا. اور اس ڈیٹا کی موجودگی سے چونکہ وی آر آرمڈ ود آل دس ڈیٹا, کیا ہم یہ بالکل پریڈکٹ کر سکتے ہیں کہ آج سے 2 سال بعد چاند ادھر ہوگا اور مارس ادھر ہوگا اور جوپیٹر ادھر ہوگا. بیسڈ اپان دیٹ ڈیٹا وی کین ڈو اٹ. بٹ ڈز دیٹ مین یو ڈونٹ نیڈ نیوٹنز ایکویشنز؟ یہ ہے بات. یعنی کہ وہ جو نیوٹن کے فارمولاز ہیں, جو فارمولا کی بات کر رہے تھے, وہ فارمولاز ہیں اور وہ جو ایسوسیشنز ہیں جو گریویٹیشنل پلز اینڈ پلز اور فزکس ہے اس کی, ایسٹرو فزکس جو کہلاتی ہے, تو سمپلی ڈیٹا ہونے سے, یہ بتانے سے کہ فلاں وقت کے اوپر فلاں باڈی فلاں جگہ پہ موجود ہو کر اتنی رفتار سے جا رہی ہوگی, ڈز اٹ obviate the necessity of having Newton's equations that predict یہ ساری چیزیں, جیسے اپولو 11 یا کوئی بھی جو جاتا ہے, یا ابھی انڈین جو چاند کے اوپر گیا ہے, تو اس دوران میں چاند گھوم رہا ہوتا ہے, زمین بھی گھوم رہی ہوتی ہے, سب گھوم رہے ہوتے ہیں, بٹ وہ ایک پرٹیکولر پوائنٹ پہ پرٹیکولر جا کے لینڈ کرتا ہے. بٹ آل آف دس از ڈن تھرو ایکویشن. تو بیسیکلی سمجھنے کی بات یہ ہے کہ وہ جو انسائٹ ہے جو ان ایکویشنز کے ذریعے آتی ہے, دیٹ از مور امپورٹنٹ دین ہیونگ جسٹ ڈیٹا.
Right, sir, thank you. Because of time constraint, we will move to question answer session, but only one question we will be able to accommodate. Please.
میرا خیال تھا کہ یہاں کوئی AI والا ہوتا.
اچھا ڈاکٹر صاحب, میرا سوال ہے کہ بلاک چین کے بغیر ہمارے ملک میں $10 بلین کی منی لانڈرنگ ہو رہی ہے, تو ظاہر بلاک چین کے بعد تو شاید $40 بلین کی منی لانڈرنگ ہوگی. تو گورنمنٹ پالیسی بنا رہی ہے کہ سینٹرلائزڈ بلاک چین ہونا چاہیے ہو, جس کے لیے انہوں نے بینانس کو الاؤ بھی کیا ہے, وچ از سینٹرلائزڈ بلاک چین. ظاہر ہے کہ پھر جب سینٹرلائز بلاک چین ہوگا تو وہ ڈی سینٹرلائز ٹرانزیکشنس کا تو کنسیپٹ کم ہو جائے گا. تو آپ کے خیال میں مزید کیا پالیسی ہونی چاہیے کہ یہ منی لانڈرنگ جو ہے اس بگ ایشو ان آور کنٹری؟
دیکھیں, بلاک چین ایک اور ٹرک کی بتی ہے. اچھا, اور میں ذرا سا بتا دوں, میں 1998 وغیرہ میں اس کے انڈر لائنگ ٹیکنالوجی کے اوپر ورکشاپس کراتا رہا ہوں, پبلک پرائیویٹ کی جس بیسس پہ وہ چلتی ہے, جو اس کی انکرپشن الگوریتمس ہیں. اصل میں پرابلم بلاک چین نہیں ہے یا اس کی ٹیکنالوجی نہیں ہے. پرابلم یہ ہے کہ اس ڈیٹا کا سمجھنے والا اور اس کا اونر کون ہے. اس وقت ہماری کرنسی کی ویلیو جو ہے وہ اون کرتا ہے کوئی اور, ٹھیک ہے, اور ہمیں پتہ بھی نہیں اس کی ڈائنامکس کیا ہے. اس کے بعد ملک کی فائنینشیل ٹرانزیکشنز, ابھی تو اسٹیٹ بینک کو پتہ ہے کہ کون کس کو کدھر پیسے دے رہا ہے, کہاں سے آ رہا ہے, کہاں جا رہا ہے. بلاک چین آنے کے بعد تو وہ بھی نہیں پتہ ہوگا. اور آپ کو پتہ ہونا چاہیے کہ امریکہ کے اندر فیڈرل ریزرو جو تھا وہ اس نے پابندی لگائی تھی فار دا یوز آف بلاک چین ٹل آئی تھنک 2014 تک. 2013-14 میں اس نے الاؤ کیا, جب اس کو ٹریپ ڈور مل گیا, یعنی کہ پیچھے سے کیسے دیکھا جاتا ہے لوگوں کی ٹرانزیکشنز کو, جب اس کو وہ ایکسیس مل گیا اس نے اجازت دے دی, پھر یہ آپ کے بٹ کوائن وغیرہ ساری چیزیں پاپولر ہوں. تو یہ صرف ایک میکینزم ہے فار ہائڈنگ دا انفارمیشن اینڈ ہیونگ اے کنٹرول آف فائنینشیل ڈیٹا ورلڈ وائڈ.
Thank you so much. We will wrap our session here, and because of the time constraint, thank you so much to the speakers, lovely insights. Thank you to the audience for coming and listening to this.
Thank you so much. The next session is sponsored by British Council. Title is Building a Generation. Are schools passing their exam? Speakers are Salma Alam, Rana Hussain, Hassan Khan, Faisal Mushtaq and Ruqayya Salman. Moderator is Stephen Leon. एक शेर हाथ से और ले लें। वहाँ पे रखते हाँ 12:40
between Cambridge students and AKU students and AKU has recently just gained traction, right? It still has.
The session which is going to start now is sponsored by British Council. Title is Building a Generation. Are schools passing their exam? Speakers are Salma Alam, Rana Hussain, Hassan Khan, Faisal Mushtaq and Ruqayya Salman. Moderator is Stephen Leon. I would request to Mr. Stephen to please introduce himself and the speakers.
Well, we're missing a few speakers, so do we?
Can wait for a few minutes.
We'll wait for a few minutes. Yes, not too long.
Although Salma and Faisal are there and they go there, so if you can just go and call them up. They're sitting in the open area.
I think we're good. Yeah. So if we have,
Can we remove the extra chairs?
so
I'll shift here. We just need to see, and then we can space them out. Okay.
So there's total four So what do you do? Are you needing any
so one of my first year students.
I was just heading the school today. There are 5 schools. College school, right? College is also. I learned a lot over there.
Salma, come.
Hi, how are you? Rukaiya?
Hi Stephen, how are you? I'm Salma. It's such a pleasure. I'll shake your hand first. Okay. I'm trying not to pass on. Is there designated seating?
There is no designated seating.
Randomly we picked up.
I'll stay as far away from the crowd as I can.
$12:40. So shall we?
Are we expecting Ron? Well, he's here, but I haven't seen Ron.
So give us just one more minute. We've got one more speaker who is in the area and coming.
Let me just call you. Just let me call you. This is Rana Hussain, who's the caretaker. Let me just call you.
Okay, so he's
Let me just call him up. Let me call him up.
he is.
I'm just calling him up.
Hello, how are you?
Hello. I think that's. I don't think anyone else is coming, right?
Okay. Well, thank you very much for coming. Please make your way, find your seats, make yourselves comfortable. We will start in just a moment. While you're finding your seats, this is a provocatively titled session. I hope that we do deal with the controversial topics of it in a very constructive way, and I think it's very easy to bash education. Around the world, I've never been anywhere where parents are satisfied with their kids' education. My kids are educated in England, and I'm deeply dissatisfied with many aspects of it, and yet my kids turn out pretty well. So something works even while we grumble as parents. So let's bear in mind it's never ever going to satisfy everyone. But we have a panel of experts here who really do know what they're talking about, and they are on the ground. They have been running education systems. My name is Steve Lyon. I am the Dean of the Faculty of Arts and Sciences at Aga Khan University. So I have a very, very close interest in this because I'm recruiting from the students that come from Pakistan. So I really am looking for something very specific, which in some respects I think I'm not getting from Pakistani schools, but it may be that what I'm asking for is unreasonable. And my panel of esteemed experts will of course tell me if I'm being unreasonable. Now I think I will allow each of them to briefly introduce themselves and say their own kind of area of specialty within the domain of education, bearing in mind that we really would like to have a conversation. So keep these quite brief, but if you could very briefly introduce yourselves and tell us what you bring to the table today, please. You're the starter, yes.
Okay, hello, can you hear me?
I doubt it.
I'll just use this, I think. Yes. Hi, so I'll keep it really brief. My name's Rukaiya Salman, and though I was, from the finance background and did my CFA, I switched to education 15 years ago and taught for a while. I was leading certain schools, and still that's my primary job, but also have certain passion projects, because I really think that there's so much we can do in Pakistan. So I'm running a global community of educators and hoping to make a small difference. Thank you.
Hi everybody, my name is Hassan Khan and I'm an educationist by profession. I'm leading a group of schools by the name of Happy Palace Grammar School and Academies International School. I'm the director over there, and I'm majorly looking into the academic bit and the teachers training bit, trying to make a difference and making sure that we promote education in a country like Pakistan, which needs it the most.
My name is Dr. Faisal Mushtaq. I'm the chairman of the Roots Millennium Education Group, and I'm also the president and the founding trustee of Millennium Institute of Technology and Entrepreneurship. We work across knowledge society, knowledge advancement, and social contract. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum and good afternoon everyone. My name is Salma Alam. I am the Chief Executive Officer of a non-profit company by the name of Durbeen. We work in teacher education, and very simply what we're trying to do is develop a top quality professionally trained workforce for public schools. So our work is concentrated on the public sector and bringing excellence from within.
Thank you very much. I'd like to start, if I could, by one of the things I'm always frustrated with when I talk to my Pakistani students is everything is about Pakistan. They say Pakistan's unique, our problems are different from everyone else's, and I travel around the world and I see many of the problems actually are quite common, that Pakistan is not that unique, and what we wind up doing is comparing the worst elements of Pakistan with the best elements of the rest of the world. So I would like to ask you today, with education, we are asking here, does Pakistan pass the exam grade? Is there anywhere in the world that you think is getting it right? Is there any place that you would point to and say, they've got education cracked, that's what we need to do? Sure, please.
Thank you. Look, we are work in progress. As a society, we really need to do a journey from exams to empathy, from classrooms to community building, and from assessments to assignments. So, generally speaking, have we passed our own schools? Have they done their own test for examinations? I think we have not. We are very regimented, non-scientific, factory-modeled teaching and learning communities. And the very reason that we have not been able to evolve is because the way the higher education system and the global recruitment works for the knowledge progression. So knowledge, it may be dispensation of content, curriculum, teaching and learning pedagogies, but at the end of the day, all global universities, including the ones in Pakistan and around the world, they do talk about global mindedness, empathy, open thinking, AI, open source learning, MOOCs, but no university or institute of school, college or higher education is willing to give a talented child an admission based on his or her social and emotional quotient and their academic and their digital quotient. So the whole system is rigged. It is exam driven, it's very saturated, it's polarized. So I think we do really need to evolve. There is work in progress for the last 1 decade, and I think the credit goes to the passionate and progressive Pakistani practitioners, our teachers in particular. So we do feel that schools, they sponsor a knowledge society, and universities, they build across a knowledge economy. A lot of work needs to be done, but we have come a long way. And that is why, for the very reason, exam bodies like Cambridge and Edexcel and AQAs, they're changing their regimes from A star, A, B, C. The new assessment regime by the Edexcel in Cambridge talks about 9, 8, 7, 6. Yeah. So the child who's going to get the best grade will get grade 9. If you look at the IB philosophy and the framework, there's no grading. So I think we really need to get away from grading and from comparison and from one size fit all. And we need to look at the individuality and originality of classroom, and that comes through collaboration, coursework, assignments, and developing such digital platforms and building capacity of the human resource. Because at the very heart of teaching and learning, it is not just the child, it is also the teacher. Teaching stops when you enter the classroom, learning begins after you enter the classroom. Thank you.
Thank you. That's really important points. The whole person development is something I think all of us are concerned with. But I'm at this end, at the university end, I've got 100 places to give, and many, many, many more people apply for that than I could possibly give a place to. So I use the exams as a filter, and then we interview, and then we deal with that. But you're right, they have to get over that hurdle of the exams to even get their foot in the door. Can I ask you, so you come from Cambridge, you spent time in the UK. The UK is very famously, you've just mentioned it, constantly tinkering with their education system. We've gone from A's and, they still have A's and A stars at A level, but at GCSEs, the sort of matriculation level, it's this 1 to 9, which baffles me. And my son came home with this and told me that a 7 was good. And I just thought, in what scale is 7 good? Tell me about the comparison between the UK and Pakistan. What does Pakistan do possibly that the UK might actually learn from? And you're doing the grammar school, you have the A-level exams. What do you do that British schools might benefit from looking over your shoulder?
See, you cannot compare a Pakistani education system with a education system in the UK. And as your first question went, I think the Singaporean and Finnish model is something which we need to look into. They encourage play-based learning till the age of 7. They have amazing faculty members. They attract teachers from top universities, and they make sure that the profession is taking, the teacher's profession is being taken along in that sense, right? The British education system is again a very refined system. It's a developed economy. They don't have to worry about the basic infrastructure issues which Pakistan has to face, right? So Pakistan is going through a tough period of time, and there are lots of things which needs to be said. So you cannot compare a developed economy with a developing or underdeveloped sort of a nation, right? What we're doing right, I think we have our students are very courageous. They're very determined. They are doing wonders in STEM. They're very ahead from the Western counterparts in mathematics and science, and they are making their mark. They are being attracted towards foreign universities, and when I was at university, I think Pakistani students were very eager to perform well, and they were securing good spots and places, and they were entering the workforce in a very sort of a good manner, right? So there are lots of things to learn. Again, the AI integration, the teacher training modules, the hiring of teachers. So lots and lots of things need to be, so it goes both ways.
Thank you. Let me change the topic just a little bit. Now, I often hear, I've been coming and going to Pakistan for more than 40 years, and people are always telling me how good it used to be, that schools used to be good in the 50s, 60s, and 70s, and then they got bad. Can I ask you, you're someone who sees the back end of schools as well as the front end of schools, how would you make that comparison between Pakistani, the public sector in particular, between, say, the 60s and today?
So I was not born in the 60s, so yeah, a little difficult, but yeah, from all the research that I've done, I think this comment comes because life was simpler. There were less challenges in terms of all the distraction the students have, and AI, which has, school was, like handled in a very different manner right now. But saying that, yes, the difference is probably in the number of challenges we have, but also I would say we are fortunate enough because now we have access, like COVID was a disruption in a way, in the sense that it connected us to educators around the world, and we have, it has, and everybody is now offering online seminars and coaching, so it has become very easy to access information around the world. And like building upon what he said, that yes, we cannot get rid of assessments, we have to manage around them because universities look at your O and A level results, but yes, a lot of curriculums are trying to make the grading better, but I feel there's a lot of potential now in the younger years which we didn't have access to earlier. So I think we are more fortunate enough to this access of information. There's so much more that we can bring in terms of project-based learning, because it's project-based learning, I think, is misinterpreted at times. It's not like you give your child a project and he does it and there's a display. It's the whole process that he learns from, the reflections, working together, collaboration skills, critical thinking skills, because now AI can also write your essay. What now we have to test is whatever essay the AI wrote, is he able to criticize that? Is he able to evaluate that? So we have to build these collaborative, critical thinking and communication skills. So these different modules like project-based learning, then you have, life skills, like having modules of plumbing, carpentry, and all these other interesting things in school, making schools more inclusive, because there's a lot of stigma around special needs and having inclusive children in your school. So I think with all this knowledge that there, we can bring in all these different programs like career readiness and looking after their well-being, because even I feel that right now we are better off. Yes, there might be more issues as far as mental well-being is concerned, but there were issues back then also. Every child had their own journey, everybody was going through their own process, but we didn't have the awareness to detect it. I feel that now teachers and educationalists have so much more awareness about the child's well-being, and with the help of counselors and trainings, that now we can look into that more. So I feel, yes, there might be some advantages of that era, but right now definitely more access to education is a benefit. It's how we reap that benefit with all these different programs that we can bring in.
Thank you very much. I think, that deserves an applause. We do need to take care of our mental well-being. I mean, of course, there's also, when I first came to the country, there's a very, very high illiteracy rate in rural areas. So we are trying to get a lot more kids in school, which of course is a challenge all on its own. Can I turn to you now, Salma, particularly around this AI and the technologies? How do you prepare the teachers to bring, I mean, this AI stuff is, of course, it's been around for a while, but in popular consciousness, it's fairly recent, and in that level that we can use it in day-to-day learning is actually very recent. How do you prepare, how can we prepare teachers to help students to learn what's ethical, what's effective, and what is in their own best interests? I think you might need this.
So I represent a higher education institution that's working with teachers, and we're definitely not an elite institution in the sense that our work is situated within the public sector through a public-private partnership, and we are developing a workforce for public schools, so we also try to be mindful of resource constraints in that environment when we're training our teachers. So in our context, all
وہ سب پڑھتے رہتے وہ تکرار بھی ہوتی رہتی ہے. تو جب آپ محفلیں کرتے ہیں تو ادب اور معاشرے کو اتنے کسی بھی معاشرے میں 10,000 20,000 شعراء جو لوگ آتے ہیں مشاعرے میں وہ ذوق شعری کی وجہ سے بھی آتے ہوں, کچھ تو اس میں آتے ہی ہوں گے,
اور فرمائشیں یہ لے کر آتے ہیں. اور دو بہت اہم باتیں, اور آپ یہ دیکھیں کہ اس کے عالمانہ گفتگو مشاعرے کے حوالے سے تو کیا کہنے, طرح مشاعرہ کا ہوا یہ نوجوانوں کے لیے کہ اس میں مصرع دیا جاتا تھا اور پھر اس پہ کہی جاتی تھی. کشور ناہید آپا, بہت بات مشاعرے کے معیار پہ ہوئی, تو دو طرح سے میں آپ سے یہ ایک سوال یہ کروں گا کہ مشاعرے کے معیار کے بارے میں آپ ابھی تک جو ہے مشاعرے میں پڑھ رہی ہیں, کل بھی آپ نے پڑھا, تو معیار میں آپ کو کیا لگ رہا ہے نوجوان جو ہے وہ معیار میں کیا اضافہ کر رہے ہیں, کمی کر رہے ہیں؟ اور دوسری بات جو افتخار عارف صاحب نے کی, مشاعرے کے لیے لکھی جا رہی ہے, اسپیشلی مشاعرے میں سنانے کے لیے بھی شاعری لکھی جاتی ہے کیا؟
آپ نے سوال کیا تو میں آپ کو بتاؤں کہ مشاعرے سے کو آپ اسی طرح لینے لگے ہیں اب جیسے ایک پروگرام ہو رہا ہو مزاحیہ بہت سنتے ہیں اور اصلی شاعری جو ہوتی ہے وہ بہت کم. اس میں یہ نہیں, میں بتاؤں زہرا آپا کہ آپ کی پہلی غزل پتہ نہیں پہلی تھی کہ سن 54 میں 53 میں میں نے خود بھائی کے ساتھ جا کے لاہور میں تھی وہ سنی تھی. تو ان کی شاعری کی بنیاد یہ تھی کہ ان کے تلفظ, ان کا مصرع اور ان کی ماشاءاللہ آواز, اس کو سن کے سارے لوگ گنگ ہو گئے تھے. اور پھر ان سے دوبارہ پڑھنے کو کہا, اور انہوں نے زہرا آپا نے کہا کہ میں 3 غزلیں لائی تھی, 2 دفعہ سنا چکی ہوں. اور لوگوں کا اصرار یہ تھا کہ نہ جوش صاحب پڑھے نہ کوئی جگر صاحب پڑھے, بس وہ یہی سناتی رہے. تو گویا ترنم جو تھا 1 میٹر بن گیا تھا. لیکن جب فیض صاحب آئے, جب احسان دانش بول رہے تھے, جب قاسمی صاحب آئے, تو ان کو سننے کے لیے ادب سے لوگ بیٹھا کرتے تھے. یہ کبھی نہیں ہوا کہ بدتمیزی ہوتی ہو. البتہ ایک بات کہ جب ہم چھوٹے شہروں میں بہت کم مشاعرے پڑھے ہیں, اس لیے کہ مشاعرے پڑھنے کا مطلب ہوتا صبح 4 بجے تک بیٹھے رہو, پہلے ہوتے تھے. اور میں دفتر میں کام کرتی تھی تو مجھے صبح 7 بجے دفتر جانا ہوتا تھا, اس لیے میں نے 3-4 سال صرف مشاعرے پڑھے زہرا آپا نے بھی بہت مشاعرے نہیں پڑھے.
نہیں میں نے بہت پڑھے کافی, اس 3-4 سال میں بہت پڑھ لیے میں نے.
یہ بول رہے ہیں ہاں
اس 3-4 سال میں پڑھ لیے میں. نہیں میں نے بہت پڑھے مگر اس 4-5 سال میں نے بہت مشاعرے پڑھے. اور ترنم کی جہاں تک بات ہے افتخار,
کمپلیٹ کر لیں, آپ کمپلیٹ کر.
اچھا جو چیز میں آپ کو بتانا چاہ رہی تھی وہ یہ کہ
پہلے کا
آپ نے ایک
معیار
سوال کیا تھا کہ کیا سیکھتے ہیں. تو یہ منزل ہماری زندگی میں اس زمانے میں بہت تھی جب حبیب جالب پڑھتے تھے, جب ادم صاحب پڑھتے تھے, جب فیض صاحب کے ساتھ تو تھا ہی. تو یہ لوگ سیکھ کے جاتے تھے. مجھے یہ بھی یاد ہے کہ جب ہم کالجوں کو گورنمنٹ کالج کا مشاعرہ ہوتا تھا, ایک ہی